Hey guys, it's Paul with OCD Recovery. If you can just make sure you like and subscribe down at the bottom. If you have any questions or you want us to do any videos in the future, please let us know. Today I wanted to do a video on like breathing OCD, focusing on your breathing. Things that I guess worked for me, things that didn't, how it started for me, and just kind of my journey. So it might be kind of an extensive video, but I just really wanted to go over it. So originally, with my breathing OCD, the first time it, I guess, really started to get out of control was when I was, well, this is kind of how it started. When I was 21, at the time I was drinking a lot, was partying a lot. I took a very high dose of edibles. I kept freaking out, thinking I was going to die in my sleep. Every time I would go to sleep, I would just wake back up. And so I ended up going to the emergency room, and I was focusing on my breathing. The doctor's like, "Hey, what's going on?" He gave me a Xanax. I chilled out. And from then on, I started kind of obsessing about my breathing because I was afraid I was going to have like a panic attack. So I started to develop, a panic attack disorder. So I started focusing on my breathing to calm myself down because I thought if I did that, I would, feel better, right? So that's how it started. I ended up um, going down a path where I got sober. I had I would say 2.5, 3 year period of time where I didn't really drink at all. During that time, I started reading every book you can imagine about health. I started looking at, diets, ways to make myself, not have anxiety, vitamins. I was taking 10, 20 supplements a day sometimes. I was compulsively exercising, just anything. Like I read like, regulate your breathing. So I was trying to exercise all the time to regulate my breathing because I thought that would help with my anxiety, because I was really afraid of having a panic attack. Like it really scared me, because when I would have these panic attacks, I would have like a panic attack seizure. So like my whole body would vibrate, my eyes would vibrate, my tongue would go numb, like I couldn't talk, my hands would constrict, and I would be laying on the ground and I would be shaking and my whole body would be seizing up. And then afterwards it felt like someone just beat the crap out of me. Like, so it was really scary. So what happened is I was constantly avoiding this negative feeling of possibly having a panic attack, which developed a obsession about trying to control my breathing long term. So this moved very, very continuously into my life. I really started trying to think like, oh, I need to read all these books. I started reading books about mindfulness. I ended up going to Hawaii and getting certified to be a yoga teacher. And, I was meditating. I did every freaking psychedelic that you could imagine because I thought, it was going to, help me, grow. And I did that kind of stuff really, really often. And it maybe gave me a temporary thing here or there. For the most part, though, the after effect wasn't very great. Long term, it obviously didn't help anything, probably made things worse. But I got to a point where I started drinking again, here and there, and I didn't know how to manage my anxiety, obviously. So I started having, some more panic attacks, started freaking out, and I was exercising all the time. And how I would get rid of, a panic attack is I would start walking or running and stuff, right? Well, all of a sudden I started having pain in my stomach when I was getting certified to be a yoga teacher. I was in Hawaii at the time, and I ended up going back. I had a 6 month period where I was in so much pain. I'd wake up and I'd throw up sometimes, or I would have like acid reflux. It was just so bad. I was just experiencing just so much anxiety, so much pain. I was internally focused on my breathing a few hours a day, but it wasn't like I could escape it a little bit still. And the pain, I kept focusing on it. So I thought it was anxiety. So I went to a therapist. I saw EMDR. I saw a therapist for hypnotism. I saw a cognitive behavioral therapist, multiple cognitive behavioral therapists. Most of them just told me, hey, go in a room and focus on your breathing and meditate for 10 minutes a day. It doesn't help, made it worse, obviously. And well, I was doing a presentation in front of like 500 people. My stomach was hurting so bad. I mean, I just heard, all of a sudden I feel this, like I heard it too. And it's like this little like pop. And it almost felt like a little bit of relief. And I was like, oh man. And I start moving my stomach a little bit. And I finished my presentation, I get off, and then my intestines actually came out of my belly button. So I still had it just like a big lump stuck out of my belly button. So you can imagine I freaking freaked out. I was like, holy shit, what the fuck just happened? And I go to the doctor. He's like, oh, it's a hernia. Do you want to have it fixed? I was like, well, no effing duh. What? That's why I'm here, bro. Like, of course I want it fixed. And they go, they do an upper scope. Then they, during the upper scope, they actually found another hernia hiatal that was never actually fixed, which I'm glad it didn't, to be honest. You know, complications long-term, I've just heard with those surgeries, but it was a very small one, so it didn't really need to be fixed. When they actually went in and did the surgery, they actually found another hernia. So I had one up here, and my intestines are actually being pinched inside of my my muscle or whatever. And then I had one in my belly button. So those were all fixed, or those two were fixed. I get out. I had a temporary 2 days not focusing on my breathing. I'm like, oh yeah, I'm so much better. And the anxiety's gone, the pain's gone. And then all of a sudden it just 24/7. It just wouldn't go away. I was locked on, stuck. I was focusing on my body sensations. I had pain from the surgery. So the breathing in and out, breathing in and out. It was just all I could focus on. And I was afraid I was gonna have a panic attack and rip all the stitches and stuff. So I started really freaking out. You know, I had almost 2 years after that surgery, 2.5, probably it was 2.5 years, where I just wanted to die. Initially, after about 6 months, I was compulsively, after the surgery, reading the Bible, doing yoga. I did like chants, like Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha. I was chanting 10-15 minutes a day. I was praying with prayer beads, and I was carried freaking magic rocks in my shit, you know, like I was like trying to do everything. I was reading all the books. I was taking all the supplements. I had a crazy insane diet. I was avoided every kind of food you can imagine, and none of it helped. And I got to a point where I was in a relationship, and the relationship was not that great, but it was getting worse, and I had kind of a rocky start. The girl I was with, you know, everything was great for the first 6 months to a year, you know, and then my OCD kind of made things worse. And then you know how relationships get, you know, they get rocky anyways. And it just got to a point where I just had to figure something out. I went and did ketamine therapy. The ketamine therapy, I think, maybe helped while I was doing it. I've heard a lot of bad experiences from ketamine therapy. I've heard some people have really negative experiences, some of the worst experiences they've ever had in their life. I've heard other people, you know, say it made them feel good. And that didn't do anything. I was compulsively searching Google all the time for therapies. I heard about the cranial therapy. I was thinking about it. I was like, man, but I was like, that sounds crazy. Like, but I was like, I'd rather be dead. So maybe I'll just get my brain freaking stimulated. But, you know, maybe I'm just should be dead, whatever. And it was really hard. It was really hard. I just remember as soon as I'd wake up, within 30 seconds, it was like focusing on my breathing till I went to sleep. And it was just a never-ending fight to make it go away. Never went away. So I was searching on Google. And then I started searching on Instagram. And then I found Rob's profile. And there was a post. I think I've said this into some videos, but the post said, "You are not broken." And I was like, you know, it's like shit. I felt like there's something wrong with me my whole life, like that I am broken. And I've literally told myself that so many times. And I was like, yeah, this resonates with me. So I messaged the message, and I was like, hey, yeah, this is really great content. This resonates with me, yada yada. And then he messages back, and he's like, hey, do you think you have OCD? And I was like, yeah, I think I do. I 100% diagnosed. I've had some people tell me I'm not sure, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, what's going on? I kind of told him, and he's like, I can help you. And I was like, well, whatever. I've tried everything else. So I did it. He jumped on with me, and we had a conversation. That conversation, I think, was more progressive than every single bit of therapy I had previously combined. And I went through it, you know. I had probably about 2 years of pretty consistent anxiety. And it honestly, it seemed like it got worse and worse at first for a pretty long period of time. I had a month where I had clarity after 3 or 4 months. Then after 6 months, I had another period. And then once I, you know, hit like 2 years of it, I had like a year and a half with like nothing, you know. You know, throughout my recovery, I'd say the only times I read problems is with like after, you know, a few years, it was really, you know, it involved if I was drinking alcohol a lot consistently, you know. And I would say that, you know, the things that really worked was, you know, one, I made sure I read all the books on the reading list. The second thing is you know, practical application. Just because you learn things doesn't mean that they're going to help unless you actually apply them. Looking at the behaviors, I think behavioral changes are probably some of the most important for me specifically, especially when it comes to like substance abuse, like alcohol. When I don't drink for 3 months, I'm like a completely different person, you know, and everyone's different. So that's for me, right? I don't think you should avoid alcohol necessarily, but if you can't stop consistently drinking it, you need to stop drinking it, guys. Other thing is disputing. I think through my whole recovery, I've disputed, but I didn't dispute probably as much as some people did. I put myself to be in positions to be more uncomfortable for longer periods because I thought that was the right way to do it initially. But for me, it you know, it didn't really help long term. So once I really started writing things on paper and really start to take time to like, they call it like in what's it called? Meditations, Marcus Aurelius, like meditating on evils, like the things that you struggle with. Like it's good to think about them and expose yourself to them. It's good to, you know, look at things rationally and see what the worst case scenario was, you know. And for me, my biggest fears, and this is, I think, for everybody that has, you know, this kind of theme, is fear of fear. So they're afraid that they're going to feel this way forever. It's going to ruin their life. So the first thing is ruining life, right? So for me, I was afraid of not being able to have a stable relationship, not being able to have kids, not being able to have a job, always being uncomfortable for the rest of my life. So sensational fears, being afraid of the sensation. And so I had to really look at it. So I was like, you know, I really looked at it, and I said, well, let's say I'm compulsively anxious for the rest of my life. What does that look like? Well, I'd probably be able to hold down a job. Sometimes it'd be a good job, maybe it's a bad job. And I could probably make an okay living. Maybe not. Maybe I didn't make great money. I had to move in with like my mom. My mom loves me no matter what. I could go and murder a bunch of people, and she would visit me twice a week and call me every day while I was in jail. That's just my mom. It's kind of a funny relationship, but that's my mom. So I'm sure I'd be able to have some kind of romantic encounters. I'd probably be able to get sex, you know, at some point. And I would also be able to, you know, have, you know, lots of opportunities to, you know, progress as an individual. But maybe I'm chronically anxious. Maybe I just drank all the time, played video games, stayed at my house, got 3 square meals. Really not that bad at the end of the day, right? Like that's not the worst thing in the world. And until I really broke it down like that, I was just like, well, shit, worst case, I just live with my mom, play video games all the time, and sleep on the couch and drink, right? And, you know, it's one of those things where you just spiral until you really, really look at them, right? Like, let's say you're uncomfortable forever and you're focusing on your breathing. Why is that so bad? Because the sensations? Because it hurts? because I can't stop focusing on my breathing. I thought if I didn't stop focusing on my breathing, I was going to die, and, it's very interesting when I really broke it down. I really saw it. I was like, wow. And strange thing happened. It's never really been able to click back on. And even if it kind of did, I still lived a normal life and progressed every day because I wasn't afraid of it anymore. So the book At Last Life by Paul David, this took me the longest to read. I think it's probably one of the best books to read. You should read it in the order. But you need to feel uncomfortable because your body knows how to deal with stress. And when you allow yourself to feel uncomfortable, when you allow yourself to experience emotions, experience sensations, experience thoughts, you desensitize yourself, and over time you release them. Right now, with OCD, it can be a little sticky. It's not always just going to release just because you allow yourself to feel that way. With OCD, you really gotta look at the thoughts. But at first, you gotta expose yourself. Now, with this kind of OCD, you don't go sit in a room and meditate. That's an exposure. The exposure is there constantly. So you need to bring it for the ride. Just do whatever you want. Never let OCD say, you can't do this. You have to be like, well, I don't give a shit. I'm going to be fucking uncomfortable. I'm going to do it. And you do it. That's the first step. Okay. Second step is never try to make yourself not uncomfortable. Push yourself to be uncomfortable in every situation possible. Be willing to put yourself in the worst case scenario and almost have a panic attack. Have that emotional breakdown. Go crazy. Let it all happen. Over time, the unwinding it'll start to unwind. It'll start to go down a little bit. You'll start to desensitize yourself. And then you're going to look at the thoughts. Now, when you're looking at the thoughts, it's important. Non-compulsively. Don't do it during the day. Spend 20 minutes a day writing it on paper. Go to OCD recovery website. There is a forum on there on how to break down beliefs. Okay. And you don't want to do every thought because OCD has this thing where it's like this call to action, like, oh man, I thought about this. Oh, I should think about that. And I got to dispute that. No, you look at, let's say you've got 5 things you're thinking about. Just let yourself be uncomfortable for a month, whatever it is from now. And your top thing that you're thinking about all the time, start disputing it. Dispute it for a month. 5 days a week, whatever. Then let it sit. Then see what else comes up. And you keep doing that, right? Now, when you're not having that rumination, when you're not having the constant thoughts of stuff like that, usually when you start having the sensational fears, and it's just the sensational fears, not the fear of fear being stuck forever, it's just the fear of the sensations, maybe it's a health issue, whatever, and you're just measuring how you feel constantly, right? There's still a fear there, right? And that can just take time to build down, okay? So we call it the internal thermometer. Oh, I'm not feeling this, I'm feeling good, I'm feeling bad, I'm feeling good, I'm feeling bad. You're not necessarily like rumination on thoughts, right? It's just how you feel, right? And you have to just allow that to play out. You can't, the rumination, you're not going to stop it. You have to allow it to play out, and you have to allow it to keep going. And you need to just live your day. And then during those times, that's when you look at it. But when that goes away, you have the thermometer going, right? There's still fear there, but it's probably a lot sensational, and you need to wear that for a period of time. Then when that's gone, sometimes your body is just sensitized because what happens with your adrenaline when you're in fight or flight, let's say you have an anxiety situation, your adrenaline constantly is spiking. So your adrenaline's spiking, which is going to make it so you're constantly using energy. So you become exhausted, you feel like straight shit, and you've been ramped up so much for so long, you need time for your nervous system to relax. So you almost need to feel uncomfortable for long periods of time, even for your body to start regulating itself and getting back down. In some cases, it can take a long time. And that's not what you want to hear, but I probably had, dude, when I felt like I was there, all of a sudden it was like 6 months of just constant body sensations. I mean, man, it was like, holy freaking shit. And it was hard. It was a lot. But I was sensitized because I had worked myself up for so long. And then it was just like all of a sudden one day, I wasn't having rumination about stuff. really. Maybe a little bit of measuring, and then all of a sudden that was gone. And it was just, I was just constantly uncomfortable. And and it was just like, I just was like, well, fuck. Like, I don't care. Like, I'm gonna, like, I became to a point where I was like, good, I'm glad I'm uncomfortable, because that means I'm doing something right. And then all of a sudden it was just, I wasn't sensitized anymore, and it was fine. I was fine, So it's kind of my journey when it comes to this, guys. Just key points. I just want to make sure that I went over this, but with sensorimotor OCD, the biggest fear is that you're afraid of being afraid and having it affect your life and being stuck forever. Usually subsets to that. Okay, the biggest thing at first is wearing it, bring it for the ride, desensitizing yourself, being more comfortable with it. Okay. After that, you're going to put it on paper. You're going to dispute. You're going to look at it. Okay. Non-compulsively. After a period of time, you keep allowing yourself those spaces to be uncomfortable for new things to come up so you can work on them. If you notice that you're not having the thoughts on a regular basis, or they're not there, you're doing just the internal thermometer thing, there's still fear there, and it's probably just sensational. You need to keep wearing it. It's going to take time. You're going to desensitize yourself. Over time, you're going to have spaces. You're going to start noticing them where you aren't having thoughts, and you're being, and you'll notice the thermometer will come up and be like, oh, guess what? Like, I've been thinking about me for 20 minutes, and you'll be like, oh shit. It's a pretty interesting scenario, right? And I think that for people who have sensorimotor OCD, it can seem super overwhelming because it's like relentless. It's relentless because it's just always there. But that's how OCD is. It makes everyone think that their theme is the worst, right? When in reality, they're all probably the same, just very different. I think that, OCD inherently doesn't do anything positive for us. But the opportunity to be uncomfortable and change our perspectives, and the journey that we have to take and face every fear, that's the opportunity that we have to really grow as individuals, right? And I think that's a part that I think is amazing. There's a quote that says, the darker the night, the brighter the stars, the closer to grief, the closer to God. And I'm not meaning like, I'm not like a really religious person necessarily by any means, but the really hard things are the things that pave the way to normally make people better. They don't necessarily help in the moment, but long term, they do make you very grateful for the little things in life. And I think it's really important to be grateful for those things. Not do compulsive gratitude statements, by the way. Just holy shit, like, we live in an amazing time right now, guys. We have such an amazing opportunity. We can recover from OCD. So, but anyways, that's all I got for you guys. I hope everyone has a great day. Thank you.